to the Q&A. I have 4 pages worth of questions taken from YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. A lot of them are service dog related, some of them are diabetes related, and then we've got some miscellaneous. But I'm old-fashioned, so we're just gonna jump right in with these paper strips. Does Renzo have a pedigree? Yes. He's from a reputable standard poodle breeder in Stuart, Florida. Why are you so supportive of ESAs? Because they're valid and legit. People need them just like people need service dogs. They're basically like personal therapy animals, okay? I know the laws are vague and I know a lot of people take advantage of them, but not everyone who needs help qualifies or could handle a service dog. So an ESA would do really well for people like that, and ESA have saved people's lives. Like, it also, the fact that ESAs are written into our laws shows that our government recognizes that mental health matters. So I think it makes a much larger statement than just American entitlement, because we are actively talking about and treating mental health. So that's why I'm supportive of ESAs. They still need to know their rights and limitations, though, just like any animal. Okay. If you have high sugars, besides insulin, is there something one can do to not just lower the level, but maintain a healthy low? So, if you're having high blood sugar, but you're not diabetic or you're not on insulin, routine, water, hydrate, 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 exercise. But the key is knowing what affects your body how. How does this food affect your body? How does this exercise affect your body? When will it affect me? How can I counteract it? So a health journal really helps with that, so that you can notice patterns and repeat those behaviors to help your blood sugar not spike. But really, hydration. Do it. Your body can't work right without being hydrated. Where is the blue-purple harness from? That is a Coffee Canine. I bought it secondhand from a friend. Coffee Canine is a shop that is semi-retired. You can still find them on Facebook, but they only do pre-made sales. It's really good quality gear. Did you work through a fear period with Renzo? So Renzo is a program dog. He was placed with me when he was 18 months old, so he was past that. I don't know if he went through one. There have only been 2 times when he's ever shown fear, and one was at a university holiday party and someone dressed as Santa. He did not like him. He straight up barked at him, and I don't think it was fear. I think he did not like that person. But he did calm down after the guy walked away, and I handled it. The second time was, I am a teacher, and we had Spirit Week, and one of our students dressed up in one of those inflatable dinosaur costumes, and I think he thought it was an animal, so he was standoffish. I don't know if I handled this the best way. I walked him up to the student so he could smell him and check him out, and he like jumped back and barked at him. I think the fact that it smelled like someone he knew but looked big and scary threw him off. But that's the only thing he's ever shown fear for, was the inflatable dinosaur costume. Would you recommend a Diabetic Alert Dog to other diabetics? No, I would not recommend a Diabetic Alert Dog to every diabetic. It greatly depends on need and lifestyle. It's a lot of work. It's life-changing, but a lot of work. And unless you need things that the dog can do that a CGM or any of your other tools can't do, then that's when you get a service dog, is when it can do things that the other tools can't do. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it. Does your dog have to sit anytime you're not walking? No. Sometimes he'll lie down and get comfy if we're standing somewhere for a while. But every time I stop walking, I don't expect him to sit. He can sit. I don't care. But I don't expect him to. That's not an automatic thing that we've trained. Where's your playpen from? Playpen. Oh, Puddle's playpen. Gordman's. You can find the same thing on chewy.com. What breed and how old is Puddle? If you didn't know, I have a rabbit. Her name is Puddle. She's 5 years old. She is an American meat rabbit mixed with Flemish Giant. So she's larger than normal house rabbits, but she's not so big that she can't be a house rabbit. Okay. If he, meaning Renzo, is close to somebody beside you, would he alert them if something was wrong for them too? So, Renzo has alerted multiple people other than myself. During his training, he alerted the trainer, who was hypoglycemic, and he alerted a random woman in church and a random man at a workshop. With me, he's alerted one of my best friends multiple times for blood sugar, never been wrong. And another time, he alerted another one of my friends. It wasn't blood sugar, but within 20 minutes, she passed out. She became unresponsive. We don't know what it was that he picked up on, but he did, and he alerted for it. And I wasn't standing there, so that was completely on Renzo. Okay. What is your zodiac? Libre. What scenario would make someone choose a service horse over a dog? Okay, if you don't follow me on TikTok, I made a video that got really popular, clarifying service horses. Someone would choose a horse over a dog if they were allergic, if they needed heavier mobility, or you could choose a horse because they live way longer than dogs. Dogs live on average 10 to 12 years, many horses 20 to 30 years. It's a longer working time for the financial and training investment. But those are the three main reasons why I think someone would choose a horse: age, allergies, mobility. There are other reasons too. Is he, Renzo, a Portuguese water dog? So ever since I got rid of his top knot and changed his haircut, multiple people have thought he's a Portuguese water dog. No, he's still a standard poodle. He just doesn't look like one. Do you like your Freestyle Libre? I do. My Freestyle Libre is by Abbott. It is a flash glucose monitor. So you wear a sensor about the size of a quarter, and then you have the reader that you scan the sensor with, and it gives you your current number and a trend arrow and an 8-hour graph, and my phone is falling over, and it has had problems. However, I don't think the problems outweigh the benefits to me personally, so I love it. I've been using it since March of 2018. So, did you own or train? Yes and no. Renzo is a program dog. He was obedience trained, task trained, public access trained by the program. However, I have added on to his training. We've done a lot of stuff apart from the program. Added hand signals, tasks, and commands. So he's both. Where did I get my training manual? Oh, okay, so I do actually have a training manual. I got it from my program. They give one to every client. That's what we work through. That's what we work through at handler training before they let our dogs come home with us. How do you handle children running up to you and your service dog? Children, it depends on the age of the child and the situation, but as a teacher, I just kind of go into teacher mode, and kids pick up on that. They know, like, an authority figure when they're in the presence of one, and if it's a really little kid, I just tell them no, you can't pet the dog. Oh, why? 'Cause I said so, not your dog. Elementary school kids will understand if you say, hey, this dog has a special job to do. They need to pay attention to me in case something goes wrong, and they can understand that, and they can respect that boundary. Middle schoolers and high schoolers are more likely to push the boundaries. They try to get a rise out of you. people are probably going to disagree with me on this, but you can literally just freak them out for a second. Tell them it's illegal to harass a service dog. Act like you're calling the cops on your phone. Just scare them into leaving you alone, because they are going to deliberately try to irritate you, because that's what teenagers do. If none of that is working, I directly approached the parents. I had a 3-year-old run up to Renzo. He was off duty, but she literally, hung around his neck. And the parents ran up like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." I said, "I am so glad my dog is well trained, because that could have been very dangerous." And I held them accountable right then and there, and they were very awkward and walked away. Because they realized their kid's face could have gotten bitten off. It was at a 4th of July parade, so you don't know if the dog is friendly or not. But we were in cosplay, so either way, watch your kids. Don't let them run up to strange dogs. Okay. How did you start meeting other teams? College and Instagram stalking. I met multiple teams at my university, and my 2 best friends, we all found each other through Instagram stalking. We live in the same town, and there was a festival, and I posted about it, and one of them saw us at the festival, and they were like, "Hey, do any of you know this team?" And then they found my post about the festival through a hashtag. So that's how we all met. How did you go about getting him, meaning Renzo? I researched owner training and multiple programs and service dog lifestyle since 2016. It took me two years of researching until I ran into a family at a conference with a service poodle who gave me the information for the program I went through. And then it took another year, more than a year, to do all the paperwork and for them to match and train my dog and for him to come home. So it took me 3 years to get my dog. A lot of research, a lot of waiting, and a lot of fundraising. Are you in Missouri or the KC area? Yes, this is from one of my TikTok followers. Yes, I am in the Missouri area. I am a little farther away from KC, but I am technically still in that area. After the dog attack, how did you get your dog to not be jumpy around other dogs? Okay, so if you didn't know, 3 months puddle, knock it off. 3 months after Renzo was placed, so August of 2019, we were at Walmart, and he was lunged at by a supposedly fake service dog. It was a very large breed, had a stereotypical vest on, the leash was way too long and clipped to the vest, and we walked past, which is the first and last time I will ever make that mistake. I didn't see the dog until we were only a few yards away from it. Anyway, as soon as it saw Renzo, it jumped up and lunged and got within feet of his face, barking, snarling. He was pulling so hard his front paws were off the ground, and the middle-aged, very heavy-set man on the bench could barely hold the leash back. And it put other people in danger too, because there were people walking by and they could have gotten bitten, and it scared me, and Renzo became reactive. However, I became reactive too. I started seeing every other dog as a threat, whether it was where it was supposed to be or not. Okay, so if you're going through the same thing, work on yourself first. You have to not see every dog as a threat in order to help your dog through it, okay? Because it affects both of you. It affected both of us, okay? And, just be very, very consistent. Go on meetups with other working dogs. That actually helped him, being around other working dogs. He learned that he can be around dogs and they don't want anything to do with him. Just look up some training tips. If you're in a situation where they're fixated on a dog, walk away, walk past. Positive reinforcement, use treats. But it took months and months of tips and advice and trying different things and working on myself and meetups and consistent training and exposure. But we worked through it. Not every dog will work through it, unfortunately, but we did. The mistake I made was not telling my program because I was afraid they would take him away from me. that is a true fear. If something happens to your service dog and he's from a program, they could decide to replace them. And we were already bonded. Like, Renzo and I, we were already a team. We were together for 3 months. So, yeah, that happened, and that's how we got through it. Okay. Next question. What are some challenges faced when eating socially? Okay. So this refers to diabetes. I've had people comment on what I eat and the portion of what I eat and if I should be eating it and how it correlates to my weight, basically my whole life. You know, adults when I was a kid, should you be eating that? Here, have sugar-free. No, you can't have that. As a teenager, wow, you eat a lot. No wonder you have diabetes. No wonder you're overweight. So it hurts. But at the end of the day, it's my body, it's my choice. I like food, I take care of myself. My weight is actually more of a problem with not liking to work out and also thyroid, but that's a whole other thing. The challenges of eating socially, I struggled more with it when I was a teenager because teenagers are ruthless and they do not have a filter, so anything they think is weird or odd, it comes out of their mouth. They just say it. No reservations. So it was always being pointed out. I actually got to a point where I would eat my lunch in study hall so that I didn't have to eat in front of other students at lunch. But now it doesn't really bother me as much. I don't really know how I got through it. I just don't care what other people think because I know they don't have all the knowledge. They think they know that, they think they know the correlation between diabetes and food. But A, they don't, and B, I have other issues that contribute to my weight and eating problems besides diabetes. So don't let your worth or your value or the validity of your actions be determined by other people's opinions. It's more of a mental thing than it is a social thing. So that's my advice there. What is the difference between diabetic, reactive hypoglycemic, and non-reactive hypoglycemic? I will answer this to the best of my ability. I haven't done a lot of research on hypoglycemia, reactive versus non-reactive. I do know the difference is that in diabetes, type 1 specifically, the beta cells of the pancreas do not produce insulin. We have to take insulin outside of ourselves to regulate our blood sugars. With hypoglycemia, you are hypersensitive to your insulin or your body makes too much of it. Or it makes too much glycogen. Something's happening with your pancreas and liver that makes your blood sugar drop. Reactive, to my understanding, means that it drops in reaction to an action or something. Like, you do this, then you go low. Non-reactive, you're just going low all the time for no apparent reason. You just run low, okay? That's my understanding of the differences between diabetic, reactive hypoglycemic, and non-reactive hypoglycemic. Do you let him, Renzo, look at stuff when you go places? Okay, so this question was on our aquarium videos. Yes, when we go to an aquarium or museum, or if we're going to a really stimulating place, I let Renzo take in his surroundings. I let him look. When we went to the aquarium, before we went farther into the building, I let him take it all in. I let him sit there at the glass and watch the fish for a little bit, made sure he wasn't getting fixated. It really confused him because I feel like he wanted to chase them, but he couldn't smell them, and he's a very, very scent-oriented dog. So I let him take in his surroundings, but I'm still responsible for how he behaves. So I'm just super aware of him and his body language and the signals he's giving me, but I do allow him to take in his surroundings. If one is non-reactive hypoglycemic, how does one maintain a happy, healthy medium? Protein. If you want an actual tip, incorporate protein that lasts longer in your it takes longer to digest, it lasts longer in your system, longer to metabolize. It will help stabilize your blood sugar, but you have to eat protein with some sort of carbohydrates. So make sure to incorporate protein throughout your day. Also hydrate. And if you have a lifestyle that allows you to do this, stick to a routine. However, happy, healthy medium has a lot to do, again, with mental perspective. Even if you do everything by the book or correctly, you're going to have bad days. You are going to have those days where you have those lows that make no sense, and you have to deal with them. Just with diabetics, just with other conditions, you're going to have bad days even if you do everything right. So, to have that happy medium, you have to be okay with the fact that you're not going to be 100% 24/7. You have to be okay with it. And it takes some people way longer to be okay with that. And that's also okay. But if you don't want to get super depressed every time you have a bad day, that's something you have to address within yourself. How tall is Renzo? I get this one a lot, and I just recently measured him. He is 26 inches at the shoulder. And for reference, I'm 5'8". Where did you get your plaid vest? Okay, so I have a plaid vest that a lot of people love, and I actually made it. It was the first vest I ever made. I upcycled it from an old messenger bag purse I had, and it turned out really good. A lot of people like it. You can't buy it because I got the purse at a thrift store, and I had it for a few years, and then it broke, and then I saved it, and then I turned it into a vest. I don't even know what brand the purse was. So I'm sorry, you cannot recreate that. What helps counteract the side effects of high and low levels? Everybody's different. For me, for high blood sugars, if my blood sugar is running high and I feel awful, what I do outside of treating the blood sugar is I rest. I rest if I have ketones. I go for a walk if I don't have ketones. And I drink a diet soda. I don't really drink soda, but when my blood sugar is super high, I get thirsty and I crave sweetness. So the diet soda does those two things. I'm drinking something, and the artificial sweetener satisfies that sweet craving, and it helps my stomach. When my blood sugar is super high, I get a stomach ache, and the carbonation from the diet soda helps the stomach ache. As far as lows, just don't try to do any action that requires thought. And when I'm low, this is why I taught Renzo DPT. When he does DPT when I am low, I actually stay more coherent. Otherwise, I would probably drift off and be in zone out, and it would take someone a while to get my attention. But when he does DPT, I am able to stay, I guess the word is grounded, in the moment, and aware and coherent. And I don't know if that'll work for everybody, but it works for me. And it was trial and error, finding something that worked when I was low to keep me more mentally there in the moment. How can Renzo tell when your blood sugar isn't right? Smell. He is scent trained. The program taught him a behavior, and then taught him to do that behavior when presented with a blood sugar scent sample above a certain range and below a certain range, as well as not to alert with the middle range. Dogs can smell parts per trillion. Glucometers measure parts per million. That is why dogs can catch a high or low blood sugar up to 20 minutes in advance. Okay? They can smell the physiological change when something happens inside the body. And that's the same for a lot of medical detection dogs. Not just diabetes. You train it with scent samples, and they smell the physiological change. So he will smell my hand or my breath, and that's how he can tell. Why would someone label an ESA if they don't have public access? Okay, I get this one a lot. A lot of service dog handlers like to play the exclusivity card when it comes to gear, labeling, and vests. I think that is stupid, okay? You can believe what you want. Personally, I think it's stupid. We do not hold a monopoly on vests and labeling. Therapy animals use vests and labeling. I freaking saw a post of a cheetah at a zoo wearing a Julius Canine vest. No labels, just something to give the zookeeper a handle on. So we need to not be so exclusive. Reasons why an ESA owner would label. If you're in the airport and flying with your ESA, it lets people know that it's not a service animal, but it's an ESA. If you are out in public at pet-friendly locations with your ESA, maybe you're training, maybe you don't want people to come up and pet them. Like my sister, she is training her dog. She's training her ESA for a CGC and to be well-mannered. She doesn't want people to interact with him when she's in pet-friendly places. Okay? Some people get special accommodation to take their ESA to their therapist appointments. There's another reason to label them. It's all personal preference. As long as the owner is not misusing the gear and falsifying the label of their animal and like breaking the law, there's no reason why they can't label their ESA. People just need to get the pine cones out of their pants about it. Does he, meaning Renzo, wake you up at night to alert? He was trained to. It's really hard to train, and he has a couple times, but mostly no. That is not the time I need him. I don't have a lot of nighttime lows or highs, and I generally wake up if I go low in the night. I need him more during the day when I'm in public, when I'm driving, when I'm at school, when I'm teaching, when I'm not really paying attention to my blood sugar. So he works really, really hard during the day, and he is out like a zombie, out like a light all night. He sleeps really hard. I have to, like, get him up in the morning. How does he alert? Okay, so he generally paws me. If it's emergent, he will jump up on me. And if I'm not picking up on his alerts and it's his last-ditch effort, he will sit there and bark at me. If he's doing all three, yeah, something's wrong. I forgot a question. How to get a tight focus or heel. Renzo, when he came to me from the program, did not know focus. I taught him that. I get his attention with a treat in front of his nose, and then he follows the treat, and I do this hand signal, and I say focus. And when he gives me eye contact, I praise him, I give him the treat, repeat, 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 and then try to get them to hold the focus for longer periods of time until it becomes automatic. And then with a heel, Renzo is decent at heeling. He's gotten a lot better in the last year. He doesn't need as many reminders or physical corrections. It's mostly just like verbal cues. But if you want to teach your dog to walk closer to you in a heel, almost touching you, I suggest using a 7-inch traffic lead, and then eventually it'll become second nature and automatic. Where did you get your patch roll? Amazon, $12. Last question. What subject do you teach? Yes, I am a part-time teacher. I teach computer, so digital literacy, and public speaking. Computer would be for 3rd through 8th grade, and public speaking would be 7th and 8th grade. Thank you for coming to my Q&A. I really appreciate it. If you have more questions for me, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and I will address them at a later time.